Our match of the day laughing at Gary O'Neill. It feels like they are. Every week there are new controversies in the Premier League. And when it's the smaller teams that are seemingly having it against them, pundits in the studio just end up giggling. Would they do the same for the top six? Me and Tom don't think so. Welcome to the Premier League show. This is Back of the Net. We're an AFCB fan channel. But it's not just Bournemouth we cover.
We cover the Premier League in general, and we're going to get into it now because there was a lot on the weekend, wasn't there? There was a lot.
There was a lot. If you're brand new here, make sure you press the like button and also subscribe. We truly appreciate your support, whether you're a Cherries fan or you're not. Let's take a look. Firstly, at the weekend's results. Look, it wasn't good for AFC Bournemouth. We know that. We've had all the headlines that involve the word six on fire, six in the city. Yeah, we do not want to talk about that. But we'll talk about the other games as well. There they were. Some big results in there, especially, Luton Town. What a draw they got against Liverpool. Forest, huge win for them on the Sunday. And some really intriguing games with a lot of goals. Brentford did well with their 3-2 win. Sheffield United, boy, did they need that as well. Plus, there were a few other results. Maybe we'll cover them. Maybe we will. And of course, on the Monday as well, Spurs' Premier League unbeaten record has come to an end. Tom's got a small smile on his face over here. Ange Postecoglou somehow still emerges with loads of credit. Look, it was a harem-scarum game, going down to 9 men, but they are no longer top of the league. Here is the league table. But look, firstly, we're going to make 5 points about the weekend's action. Not before, though, we tackle the farcical nature of this automated system that we've got that's subjective, that uses people in Stockley Park. But is it the referee that's got control? Is it the people who are watching on the screens that have got control? Either way, it's taking too long. We knew it recently, last week, 5 minutes, 28 seconds to make a call that... Was it right? Was it wrong? We think it was right. The lines looked parallel. The second time they did it, at least. But we said, are the media laughing at Gary O'Neill? And I just want to say that, look, they did this on the very first week of the Premier League where Wolves, they really should have had the penalty. Their player was absolutely taken out by Onana. And for some reason, they saw it not fit to give a spot kick. And then in the studio afterwards, they're just laughing. Lineker, Murphy, and who else was it? Martin Keown were doing the same thing, laughing it away, whereby Wolves, they conceded a penalty. Sheffield United then ended up getting the win. Gary O'Neill's absolutely fuming, and they're just laughing off because it's Wolves, and we feel as though it's a bit unfair. In your mind, was it a pen?
No, it's not a penalty. It's not a penalty in a million years. I don't think the penalty that went against Wolves for Newcastle not long ago, I don't think that was a penalty. And then they should have got one, as you said, at Old Trafford. So really, Wolves have had, there's 3 there off the top of my head. There might be more, I'm sure, but it's not good enough. And obviously, Gary O'Neill alluded to the fact that if you referee Wolves, you could get relegated to the Championship. But it doesn't help him, does it? Doesn't help Wolves. And it's, as you say, mate, I just think that obviously we'll go on to other things and other points, but if these decisions like this were going consistently against one of the big boys, they'd be calling it out, constantly. But because it's Wolves, Gary, and everyone goes, Gary's doing away. It's not really going for him, is it? Oh yeah, have a laugh about it, and then move on. And something's not right. It's just poor, mate. And that wasn't the bad thing about that was another decision against Wolves. It was a decision that obviously cost them any points in the game, ultimately, and it was not the worst decision of the weekend.
No,
it's just ridiculous. We say this every single week we do the Premier League show. It's interesting now that we're putting this kind of segment in when we do this weekly, and every single week it's not like we go, we'll leave it if there's none. We know there'll be loads of decisions that are crap, and people told me that VAR will stop all this controversy and help the referee. It doesn't help.
He's just resigned, and you can see in his post-match interview, he's just bored of saying the same stuff, and he's almost just talking with a face and a voice of complete resignation about the issue. And I just really don't like it, the way they're laughing off. Were they doing that when it came to Arsenal and Newcastle? No, they weren't. They were treating it seriously. Is it because they're a Big Six club? I just don't get it. But of course, there were issues in that game. I think 3 separate issues when Anthony Gordon hit it in the back of the net. So what were the 3 issues again? Talk me through it.
Ball going over the line, a foul, and an offside. And they said that the ball going over the line and the offside, they couldn't find conclusively whether it was or not. So basically, we've got VAR, which stands for Video Assistant Referee, but they're not assistant referees because they don't know anyway.
Yeah.
So how have we got the amount of money that's just swarming around football, particularly in the Premier League of England? We can't get the technology to make a conclusive decision. That's absolutely ridiculous. They'd have it in rugby, they'd have it in tennis. We can't conclusively tell if the ball's over the line or if Gordon was offside. That is ridiculous. That's not good enough.
What I don't understand, when I see it being done in rugby, they're talking us through the procedure. Brilliant. I think it's really good for the people at home, even people in the stadium, if they've got headsets, can actually keep abreast of what's going on. And they've also got all the angles that are seemingly there for them. They can use every single angle. It seems when the Premier League do it, they're almost using cameras that are done by people in the stands with iPhones or something. They're using the worst angles possible. Sky Sports cover the game with about 20, 25 different cameras, and they're using like the same angle. And it looked like the ball's out of play, but we all know the thing about perspective. You can see clear grass, but sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean that the ball wasn't hanging over the line. I still haven't really found an angle that's conclusive enough, but they say they couldn't say whether it is over the line or not. And then it was the push, wasn't it?
That's the one that I think that's definitely a foul.
Yeah.
I know people have said that Gabriel's already going down, whatever. He's got two hands on his head. Like, he's just pushing him. That's a foul in my opinion. But it's just more the fact that whether you agree that the goal should count or not, it's the way that they do it, and the fact that there's over 30 cameras and they can't conclusively decide something. It's just ridiculous. And you mentioned rugby there, mate. I'm not a rugby fan, but weirdly, recently, was it the World Cup? I don't bloody know. But England were on that, so I decided, I don't understand what's going on half the time. But watching it, I thought, this is brilliant in terms of the communication.
And talking you through
Yeah, and you just know exactly what's going on. I didn't even know the rules. But with football, you have a clue what's going on. We've said before, we go to all the games, and when you're in the stadium, it's even worse. You're looking at your phone to try and work out what's happening. It's just all a mess. And the amount of money in the game, and, Arteta obviously lost his head, which I get. I think he probably... I don't like the fact that Arsenal put out a statement. I know they've got to back their manager, but we can't be having statements every time that something's. It's just ridiculous. And obviously Liverpool done it for an even worse one not long ago. But I also think these managers they've worked all week to try and get a result for the football club, and something like that goes against them. And Gary Neal was another example of that, which cost them at the end of the day. Then they got chucked out. They have to go in front of the cameras and talk about it, and they can't just have their opinion. No. Because they'll get fined. Yeah, so Arteta's come out. Yes, he's passionate. Yes, he's frustrated. Yes, he's angry. He will get a fine. He will get a fine for that. What do you want him to do? You're asking him to come out in front of the cameras when he's just lost a football match because of a load of rubbish. What do you expect from him? Don't make him come out then. It's just all a mess, mate. It's really, really just horrible at the moment, and every game you're just thinking, why is it this again? And there was that point before VAR where yes, there was always a load of rubbish. There was always ridiculous decisions being made, but at least then you go, human error in it. It's one of them. He didn't see it. Whatever. Now we're going right. He's got it wrong, but we're going to go to people that are in a studio that have got 30 cameras, so it'll be fine. And it still isn't. And it's just boring.
And it's still the time it takes as well. Look, we were watching Man City versus Bournemouth in the pub at lunchtime. We were watching the game between Manchester United and Fulham, and even the decision. So Man United scored, but did they score? Because it was chalked out for offside about 4 minutes after the goal went in, and I couldn't work out what they were doing. They were trying to work out whether a particular player was interfering with play. I think their concern is now just getting it right. Yeah. But the thing is, though, bloody hell, it's taking so long. I think there should be like a time limit. I've said this, if they can't make it up or make a decision within 2 minutes, just go with what originally happened. But
otherwise, what's the point if they're redundant on there? I mean, surely Linesville are just redundant at this point as well.
There's no point.
But what's the point of them? Because they, if they're wrong, they'll just tell them they're wrong. They're pointless. But yeah, I think this one's going well under the radar because, put into context that Man U won the game late on, so that's always going to help because the manager's not going to come out and say as much because it didn't ultimately matter in the end for the result. But it's mainly because of how mad the other decisions were at the weekend. But really, I remember us watching that, as you say, it was the early kickoff in the pub and thinking, we were all watching it going, oh yeah, they're trying to look for that, but nah, that's got to count. How can they rule that? That's ridiculous. And then they ruled it out. And it's like, on one hand, I'm watching that and I'm going, they're just finding anything they can now to get rid of a goal. It's ridiculous. And then in the late kick-off, They didn't when it was obvious. I can't.
Right.
There's no consistency. There's no accountability, and yeah, all right, we'll just relegate the referee or whatever to the Championship. It's all the Championship's fault. Why should they have that ref? And I don't know if anyone's seen, this is a Premier League show, but dipping into the Championship. So it was Anthony Taylor, who's ultimately known as one of our better refs, got relegated after his decision. But he done the Preston, oh God, I think it was Hull. Sorry if I'm wrong. It was definitely Preston game, and he gave a penalty that was never in a million years a penalty, and everyone's going, what's that? Was he going to League One now? Oh, what do we do now? It's just all a madness, mate. And
I might have him on my Sunday night football at one stage.
Yeah,
I don't know. He'll come along.
It's just annoying me that it's just overshadows everything. You just want to talk about, Newcastle and Arsenal. As obviously I've watched it, it was like it's all scrappy affair. But it was two top football teams that were fighting for everything, and there was some crunch tackles, and you're thinking, tactically it was really interesting between Howe and Arteta. No one's talking about any of that.
Yeah, and look, this is usually a 20-minute show, so half of our time so far has been spent about VAR, which is absolutely terrible. We don't want it to be the case. By the way, in that Fulham-Man United game, fair play to the Fulham fans for protesting about the ridiculous ticket prices. It's so sad to see their own fans getting priced out of football. And look, there's an angle that you can see where United score, and Sammy from Fulhamish and a number of Fulham fan accounts have tweeted it. It's no longer a neutral end, by the way, so don't be saying that, because it's not. It's Fulham fans on the left, segregation, and then your Man United fans on the left. There's people jumping up, celebrating that Man United goal in amongst the Fulham ends, because the Fulham fans have been priced out, and the Man United fans who've got the moolah are purchasing the tickets. Absolutely,
it's happening everywhere, mate.
Absolute joke. So
yeah, well, I'm Fulham.
Kudos to you.
I mean, we can literally, Bournemouth fans will know. We can just talk about our own kind of thing at the moment. We've had a lot of that at home, but equally we've just gone to Man City, and there were, in the away end, City fans in full kit.
In full kit. Absolute joke. Right, should we get on to lighter
football
moments? Let's talk about the football, hey? Starting off with Luton Town. Oh my goodness, they have got a siege mentality. Something that I wish our own team would have at some point in time, given the fact that we're in the relegation zone. We think we're going to get out of it, but will we? Luton Town will have something to say about that, but they've got a siege mentality. And you know what? Liverpool left it late to equalise, but they did well. They contained Liverpool, and then Chong popped up late on to put them 1-0 up. And you're thinking, hang on a sec, they could get a famous Kenilworth or Kenilworth Road win here. Love that doggy in the stands. However, Diaz, that was a bittersweet moment for him, of course, given everything that's going on at home, to notch for Liverpool, rescuing a point for them. However, Luton Town, praise to them, man. Praise.
Oh, big time. I mean, Liverpool have got to look at that a little bit. I saw some stats before the game. They really struggle away from home against newly promoted sides or sides near the bottom. We know that from last season. But Luton deserve all the credit for this one, mate, because I think it's not easy, but I think at home against big boy, you can be really resolute, you can work your socks off, you can defend well, do all the basics well, which Luton ticked every one of them boxes. But to get something out of a game, you've got to offer something on the break, because otherwise, your Van Dijks and your Trents will just go, okay, they're defending well, but they've got nothing here. We can just come up the pitch, and it'll make it even harder. What Luton did so well was always offer a threat. Just because of their pace, they, even though they're defending really well, every time they cleared it, you thought they could counter them, and evidently that was the case because they scored from it. I didn't think they were going to, but I thought that's keeping them in this game because Liverpool have still got to be worried because the pace, I think it's Benny down that left-hand side, was absolutely rapid. They started from Rotherham. I mean, fair play to him, he looked brilliant. But they always offered a threat, which I thought was real credit to them because it would have been easy to just sit there. Always offered a threat, it was a substitute. I thought a weird one that's come out of nowhere. I thought Ross Barkley was brilliant in the middle of the park for him. Probably an extra little bit of needle for him, but really good from him. And defensively, they looked solid. Felt from a little bit at the end, I'm not going to lie. I did celebrate the goal because we needed you not to win that game. But Luton are doing everything that you felt if Luton were going to be successful this season in staying in the Premier League, they had to do at home. Do all the basics well, work your socks off, and take your moments. And that's what they did, mate. And Luton will be there till the end. Whatever happens, Luton, whether they go down or stay up, they will be scrapping all the way. And I think that everyone's going to talk about how resolute they are and organised, and Edwards is a great coach. there were times in that game where I thought, actually, people aren't going to pick up on some of their quality. I mentioned Ogbene there. I think they've got some players that they're not just workhorses, they're good players.
Yeah,
they're good players. So yeah, fair play to them. Liverpool will be very, very disappointed. We got to see the brilliance of Darwin Núñez in the cup to knock us out. And then you see the other side of him when he doesn't play us. Thank you, Darwin. That is Darwin Núñez. We said it after our cup game. Darwin Núñez in a nutshell, absolute chaos of a footballer. He's quite fun to watch, but you don't know if he's going to score a hat-trick or just miss a sitter, and this occasion he missed a sitter. But yeah, Liverpool got to work at it, but all credit deserves to go to Luton, mate.
Secondly, the Blades are bouncing. Look, Hecky may be bottom. That's good, a bit of a pun from me there. However, it's only joint on points with Burnley. Look, they got the win against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Gary O'Neill's Wolves, 2-1. They left it late with a pen, and we've talked about the dubious nature of that. However, they showed some fight and passion, and that's what they're going to need. We've said before, home form is crucial. That game was crucial for them. They got the win.
And it was definitely one, no disrespect meant to Wolves here, of course, because they're doing all right, but it was a game that if you're one of them teams at home to Wolves, you need to be looking to get something. We felt that ourselves, and we didn't. So we know how important that was for them. And listen, we've spoke about the penalty at the end, and we spoke about Wolves. So let's concentrate on Sheffield United here, because I remember at the start of the season and some of these Premier League shows you can go back to that, I said, actually, there's something in Sheffield United. I remember the game against City where they just lost. Tottenham just lost. And I remember saying, I think people are writing off a bit because I think there's something there. And then I kind of flipped because they got spanked by Newcastle and they get spanked by Arsenal as well. And I kind of went, oh, actually... And now it's kind of done a full circle again. I do think they've got some players there that are going under the radar. I think Archer's a threat up top.
Great goal, by the way.
Yeah, I like Hamer. I think Norwood's got some good pros in there. So, yeah, and I think they'll be scrapping. Have they got as much about them as Luton? I think probably not quite at the moment, but that'll be interesting when they face off as well. But I think that's just massive for them. You don't want to. We know it because we were the second last team to get that first elusive win, but they didn't want to go another week, and without that, we just get it ticked off. We found the same. So to get it late on, that'll boost their confidence. We've got them very soon. Going to their place, I know it'll be tricky. I've been there a few times. I don't think I've ever seen us win, so I know what it could be like in there. They can get it going in there, and that will just boost them confidence-wise. And I think Sheffield will quite like the fact that people are going, oh, Luton are doing this. Luton got a point of Liverpool. All right, we'll stay. Everyone write us off. That's fine. We've been there before. Sheffield will be there till the end as well. I think, yes, there might be a small little group down at the bottom. I don't think anyone will just be swept aside like a certain team on the South Coast did last season.
Ooh, like that from you. Next point. How does he do it? We do love Eddie Howe a little bit. But Newcastle, they have got a few injuries at the moment, but they managed to secure a 1-0 win over Arsenal. Was it controversial though? I mean, it was disgraceful.
Yeah, it was
disgraceful according to Arteta. But they did get the win.
Yeah, and they probably, you could probably, if you're from an Arsenal perspective, you'd probably say a draw was fair, but I think they earned it to a degree.
I think they deserved it on the whole. When you look at the chances, I think they did all right.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But yeah, I think that's the thing, mate. We've talked about all the decisions. Let's focus on Newcastle here and Eddie Howe. I mean, told ya. Just saying that to everyone in the world. Soon as Newcastle got Eddie Howe, I was on a Newcastle channel and they went, we're going down, can he save us? I went, you're not going down, you've got Eddie Howe, don't worry about it.
He's a bit good, isn't he?
Stayed up. Then they went, we haven't really signed many players, can he do well? He'll probably get you in Europe, mate, don't worry about it. Champions League. They're an absolute joke. They go to Man City, go, oh, how are we going to play against Man City? We've got Paul Dummett at the back, Lascelles is playing now, we've got no chance to beat Man City. Yeah. They're a joke because they've got Eddie Howe. We've told everyone, and I'll keep repeating it. The bloke is a genius, and they showed it again. I mean, no disrespect, because we absolutely adore the man, but they're bringing on Matt Ritchie now. I didn't even know he's still there, right? He's coming on, he's playing minutes. I mean, he brings in play. I'll tell you what, the match winner is Anthony Gordon, right? I'll tell you what everyone was saying when they signed him. Why are they spending money on that? He's got a bit of an attitude. He's not an Eddie Howe type signing. And I just sat back and went, I probably agree with that. I thought, that's a weird signing, but I went, that means he'll be great. Because Eddie will know, and he must be great. Because if Eddie Howe, we all know with Eddie that he only brings people with certain characteristics, certain personalities. So there must be something about Gordon that he feels is right. And now, suddenly I'm going, he'd go to the Euros, that boy. Yeah, he could now.
Yeah, he could, yeah.
It's ridiculous what Eddie Howe does. And then you see Jamal Lascelles looks like an absolute Rolls Royce at the back. I mean, the guy's brilliant. And yeah, credit to him and credit to Newcastle and their fans must be loving it at the moment. Arsenal weren't on it. I think what it does show with Arsenal, just dipping into them a little bit, when you talk about the title and stuff like that, missing Ødegaard and missing Jesus.
I agree with that.
It looked too evident. Looked too evident. They're still not getting what they should be getting out of Havertz. And are they, Eddie Nketiah and Jesus are both good footballers. Are they going to get you a title? Not for me. I think they'll come through it and I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be there till the end. But for me, they're still levels off Man City.
Point 4. A thriller versus the Villa. The Forest were too tricky for Unai Emery's men. You know, these puns, they're just coming to me.
So good.
However, on the Sunday, it was the result that Bournemouth fans didn't really want. 2-0, but they deserved it.
They did.
They really did deserve it. I thought they were exceptional, actually.
Yeah, I've gone right off Villa, by the way, because I think it was our last show or one of our most recent shows. We were just waxing lyrical about them, wasn't it? Just like Emery, unbelievable. Villa are a class apart. And then when we need you, Villa.
Yeah, Catherine, sort your men out.
God,
Sort your boys out.
They were absolutely awful, and they were bad, by the way. Villa were really, really bad. Don't know if there's faults of Europe. I'm not sure. They had a real off day because every time I watch Villa, I think I mentioned this, they're a joy. Yeah. They were awful. But
Forest home record, though, is very good, isn't it?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because, I mean, it might come back and bite us, but they kept going on about Forest home record because it is unbelievable. We never lose there. We always win there, which is really weird. But, yeah, I think, so yeah, putting aside, because it's not fair on Forest to just say how bad Villa were because maybe Forest stopped them because I watched the game and I thought, bloody hell, Forest are good. Forest are good. And it was the way they set out. Villa, we all know how good they're being, but they do have that high line.
Yeah.
And Cooper, I think he deserves more credit because he set up perfectly to play against the high line. And the pace on the break was exceptional. Elanga running the channels, defended really well. I like the Murillo at the back. I think he looks a real good addition. I like Sangare in midfield, breaks up the play, and they've just got a bit of quality. Awani leads the line really well. I like Gibbs White.
Yeah.
And we're up, you know, if you're not a Bournemouth fan, if you're a Forest fan, for example, we're literally been saying to a few of our fan base now is we're not in a great place and we're going, new manager, right, we've got a lot of new players. Look at Forest last season. They were in a really bad place and they stuck with who they thought was a good coach. It turns out to be is. We might have one. We don't know yet, but you showed a lot of patience. And everyone was laughing about the overhaul of players. And look at them now. I think no one's talking about relegation with Nottingham Forest. I think you got more chance of getting top half. And credit to them. As much as Villa were poor, I was really, really impressed with Nottingham Forest.
And finally, Bruno has saved Ten Hag, or has he? Well, I'll tell you what, I was just saying to you, there's got to be somewhere online where you can see the league table after just like up to 90 minutes. Because it feels like they've left it late so many times to get the result. And they did the same. I mean, Manchester United scoring late at Craven Cottage.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the league table. I mean, it's so weird when you look at the league table. They're in 8th. They're 2 points off 6th, 4 points off 5th. It feels like this season's been a whole lot worse than what it actually has.
I'm not trying to be off because I've watched them. I've watched Manchester United enough. They play a lot on when we're not playing. Obviously, if they are, you watch highlights and stuff. But I've watched 90 minutes enough of Man United to know they have been absolutely awful.
But they hang in there somehow.
How are they in that position?
Don't know.
And to flip it, let's try. I'm trying because I think they've been hopeless. But to score that many late goals, there's something. So there's some sort of character belief. There's something there.
They're 2 points off Newcastle, who have had an infinitely better season.
And is it that little bits of quality that they still have in the match winner Bruno Fernandes?
But it's untenable for the long term, like this. Just them constantly doing this.
It felt like it happened a bit with Ollie, where they were laughing stock 90% of the time, and then they go and win at PSG, and he keep in a job for another week. I think when it gets to this long, Gary Neville's obviously spoke about it enough. It can't just be the gaffer. Something's not right culturally and everything at the football club. But yeah, they look rubbish, but I don't think it's just on the manager. And listen, they have pulled something out for him there at the end. And if you get enough late winners, they must be playing for him because they're fighting right to the last stages. They weren't very good again. It was a really dull game, actually. I think Fulham don't look right without Mitrovic, in my opinion. I know that's an easy thing to say, but they just don't have that focal point. I think players like Harry Wilson, actually, and Willian are stepping up for him and helping them. But they don't look right. But yeah, it felt like a game that deserved to be 0-0, to be honest. I thought it was a poor game. But Man United done it again, and I don't think it did, but that goal, it almost felt like that saved him his job. I don't think so. I think he would have stayed in anyway, but a massive goal. He got away with it again, Man United, but I think they might have a few teams in and around us at the moment, so I hope that continues. Keep scoring late for us, please.
How long can it go
I don't know, mate.
on? Thank you so much for watching the Premier League show this week. It's been a bit of a longer one, but hope you've enjoyed it all the same. We are an AFC Bournemouth fan channel, and one thing we do, if you're a fan of another club, we visit your club and we do an away day review. So tomorrow we're doing Man City. We might have done yours, or we will be doing yours. So there's a reason to subscribe, but also this show as well. Because every Tuesday we bring our Premier League review. Tom, it's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure, mate. Nice to talk about not too much Bournemouth and just talk about the Premier League. But yeah, we deserve. I think we actually. You know what? I'm going to pat us on the back because we just lost 6-1 at the weekend.
We got smiles on our faces.
We're in the relegation zone. Do you know what we did? We went, let's bring the viewers a nice little Premier League show. Let's talk about it. Let's round it all up. Let's round up how crap we are at the moment. Up the Premier League, up the cherries. See you later.